If you are looking to improve your Spanish, I want to share the exact system that I used in order to last year reach C1 and pass the DELE exam too. If you follow this exact system, then it's not a guarantee of you being able to replicate exactly what I did. We all are in different life circumstances, different capacity levels, different resources that we can pull from, okay? So take this with a grain of salt, but what I will say is that everything that I walk you through in the system is going to be based on the Mindful Fluency Method, which is the method that I use to help language learners not only progress faster, but get fluent on their own terms. And I also love to exemplify this work that I do with others, as well as in my own routines. One of the very first things that the method introduces is limiting overwhelm. And that usually means limiting your resources. Maximum 5 is what I would say. And then also have a base resource that you can use as a way to structure your learning. Even if you don't enjoy textbooks necessarily or live programs, you can at least use them for reference to understand, okay, this is where I should learn the past conjugations. We all struggle with decision fatigue, especially with such a popular language as Spanish. So even before I started implementing my system, I had to establish my system and the structure of it with this one base resource. And for me, that personally looked like actually using a textbook and then also transitioning to between when I was B to C1 into a workbook that helped me do exercises that I would complete on my DELE exam. We truly learn the same thing basically from every resource out there, especially when we are building a foundation in the language. The order of how that is given and the delivery can look different though. So that's really up to how you learn best. It's not a factor of which is the better resource that I might miss out on information from. So the first thing that I always started off with is understanding how to target my weakest points strategically. That means, yes, knowing the right strategies that worked for my brain to improve those skills, but also to adhere to my capacity levels, right? Because a lot of intense studying, I can't maintain that for a long time. So how do I make that sustainable for me? What I did was I only had a monthly focus to not overwhelm myself. I would pick anywhere from 1 to 3 grammar points that I knew I was feeling uncertain with, or even if I did study them, I wasn't comfortable using, divided them into this month, I'll focus on this topic of grammar, this month, the next one, this month, the next one, and also have clarity about what to prioritize. Now, I do have a pretty strong Romance language background, having learned French as well as Italian before Spanish. So I found that for me, chunking with flashcards that had audio was the best way to ensure that, yes, I could make the flashcards and find input from my textbooks and find different phrases from them that I knew I could put them in my flashcards for another low energy day where I would then just flip through the flashcards with audio listening to. I always loved either Quizlet or Lingofont for this, by the way. Very easy to make flashcards through both of them, or also just find, especially on Quizlet, pre-made flashcards for you according to category and theme. But this also helped me tackle learning both vocabulary and grammar because I was using both of those in context. So say that I was having trouble with combining the past subjunctive with the conditional. I would make sure to find phrases within the input that I was getting from my textbook or a podcast that I was listening to as one of my 5 resources, and make sure to write down word for word, make sure that it was all corrected, that exact sentence where I saw that combination of grammar. Once I was able to make the flashcard and set up a routine of reviewing the flashcards about 2 times a week, 30 to 60 minutes each, I was able to internalize more of the grammar structure and really stamp out bad habits that I would have developed if I had just never improved that aspect of grammar in the first place. And then on low energy days, I would just flip through the flashcards with audio. Next thing I would do on high energy days, if I felt up to my capacity to do so, was add writing. Anywhere from 200 to 350 words, which is about 1.5 to 2.5 pages I would do this once a week on a new topic if I was high energy, an already familiar topic if I was low energy, and I would find the topic that I would write about from the whatever base resource I was using or from the other maximum 4 resources that I was getting input from. That could be podcasts or different YouTube channels, etc. Now, writing not only helped me have more time to think while still being an output-based exercise, so I still had to really think about what I wanted to say, but it also helped me have a way of documenting my progress so that I could easily look back at my corrections. It also helped me refine weak points while still maintaining ones that I was fine with. So for example, in this essay that I wrote about, there are definitely red marks left by my teacher, but it was easy for me to understand in which context I got the correction, in which context I may have used a vocabulary word wrong, or I got a conjugation wrong, or something just didn't sound natural. And it also really helped me organize my ideas, especially as I started moving up in level, how to organize more complex ideas and communicate that to the listener in a logical way. If I was high energy, I would, on the same day, read the corrected version out loud of my essay. If I was low energy, I'd save it for another day. But essentially, this is another way to really internalize your corrections and the nuances of what you are getting wrong. And it would also add just another way to review on low energy days my vocab, grammatical concepts, as well as new topics. Listen back to anywhere from 3 to 5 minute recordings of me reading my corrected essays whenever I needed to. And I probably did that about once a week as well. Also, from the corrections that I got from essays, I would also chunk those corrections and put them in my flashcards too, so I was getting double reinforcement from my mistakes. I also enjoyed taking level tests. I know that we need to take them usually with a grain of salt because there are a lot of free ones out there, and the level doesn't always reflect accurately just how much you are already capable of. But I really liked to use them, especially for grammar and my understanding of vocabulary and being potentially tripped up by seeing just multiple possibilities that I could use for a question. And again, I would use the answers that I got wrong, really investigate why I got them wrong, maybe give a quick Google search, ask for a really short ChatGPT explanation of the grammar, and then again, chunk them into my flashcards. And on top of that, I would have my teacher, the same one who also corrected my essays, sometimes have a 60-minute conversation lesson with her about the topic that I just wrote about, or again, if I was high energy, about a topic that I didn't really know anything about. I also made sure pretty much every weekday to talk to myself at least a little bit and really create a solo speaking habit, which was crucial to me not only getting fluent, but also me feeling really confident and not hesitating or feeling like I was freezing up mid-conversation, right? I know that how frustrating that can feel, so that is why I created the 3-minute speaking fluency formula free training, which is linked in the pinned comment below in case you are struggling with the same thing in Spanish or in any other language. Another really fundamental thing that I did was, yes, I had my system for understanding how I learn best. I also understood that there are always going to be different days where doing my best is going to look different depending on how stressful the day was. I always had different options of how to approach the same activity, but in a different way that really helped me meet my energy where I was at and not get me into the habit of forcing myself to do really high energy level activities when I was truly low energy that day. That can build so much resentment and so much guilt and shame also in the long run if we keep on forcing ourselves to do so. And again, what I coach all of the language learners that I work with through is ensuring that your language learning is useful, but also sustainable and enjoyable, right? And forcing ourselves to do something is not the best way to adhere to those 3 principles. Make sure to give a like and subscribe if this was helpful for your Spanish, and let me know in the comments below where you are currently in your Spanish journey. I'd love to give you some encouragement because learning Spanish is truly worth it, no matter where you are in your journey. Thanks for watching, you guys. I'll see you in another video soon.